Ladies and gentlemen, I know we jest about it, but we have been testing Cyberpunk now for like 4 years on NVIDIA builds, but because they keep changing the game, that is why we keep using it. And today is no different, so this is currently the new Transformer model of DLSS, which, as I say, looks a lot better. Full path tracing, which is why the game looks absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of cheating when you have it on a QD OLED monitor as well, because that really does do like the remaining 30–40% of the visuals. If you're looking just to do an upgrade to your system, then actually grabbing an OLED monitor would probably be my first port of call if your frame rate you're already getting is like decent enough. But anyway, back to the game. Around about 90 FPS or so with that highest level of path tracing, DLSS set to performance, but because we do have that new model, the image quality is definitely improved on what it was before. So I would say, especially on a 27-inch monitor, this is pretty much compromise-free really when it comes to image quality. But this is without frame generation. So our latency at the moment is 28 milliseconds and FPS is 89. And then as we restart the title, annoyingly in a slightly different area, but maybe we get to the same bit, you can see that our frame rate has obviously increased now to about 155, 153 FPS. And crucially, that latency, again, hasn't really changed that dramatically. We've added an extra 5 milliseconds or so here. We're now looking at about 33, 35 ms. So not even close to a problem in Cyberpunk. Even with all of that path tracing, it is pretty remarkable. But because obviously we do have the latest version of FrameGen, then we find FrameGen, we turn that to 3x. And one of the problems that you will find as you sort of crank the amount of frames that you have up is that if there are going to be any issues with artifacts, you then get artifacts on the artifacts, so it kind of makes it a little bit more obvious. But yes, around about 211 FPS at the moment as we enter a little bit more of a demanding bit of the game. And because that is obviously 40 FPS under the frame rate that we have on our, well, refresh rate that we have on our monitor, again, this is probably going to be optimal. But just for due diligence, change it to 4x. Now this is going to be 3 AI generated frames, so it doesn't feel like soup. I mean, actually that feels pretty good and it's not particularly obvious, but depending on how contrasty the scene is, it can start to kind of fall apart. So you can see it there, it just ends up being a bit of a contrasty mess if you kind of, well, when you put it at 4x, as I say, it's a lot more obvious than it would be at 2x or 3x, but you can break it if you want to. You just got to hope that the game you're playing doesn't make you break it so you see those artifacts. I'm making it sound more confusing than it should be. That's something I'll leave you guys with, but here's your noise test. You know, as close to silent really as you can get, which is absolutely insane. But overall, I think the system looks great, but there is a little bit of work to be done to make this as perfect as I know it eventually could be with some tweaking. But as I say, question goes out to you guys, so let me know your thoughts on this down in the comment section below.